All right, everybody, welcome to the January virtual Launch to Learn workshop for First Nations Launch. We are excited. This is a new day for us in that we have 30 attendees today, which is a large group. So one of the things that we're going to say is please make sure that your camera is on and that we can see what you're doing, because our team needs to watch you build every step to make sure that you are keeping up with us. If for any reason and we'll go over this again, but if for any reason you feel that you're slightly falling behind, you have a question, please stop, ask questions, raise your hand, put it in the chat, go ahead and say something to us. We have breakout rooms and we'll be more than happy to work with you one-on-one as necessary. So here we go, and we do want to thank Tripoli Rocketry Association for their assistance. We couldn't do this without them. Of course, NASA for their funding. They're the ones that help make this all possible. And AIAA for the folks that will be coming in today and tomorrow to assist us. And tonight, Trent Cybella is representing them. So, as I said before, the session will be recorded and we will make it available at the close of this evening.
You send me the link. Do you have it?
I'd like to introduce our team. And before I say that, while we're chatting here, please have your microphones off so that it doesn't interrupt. That would be so kind, and So, my name is Christine Bowles. I'm the Assistant Director for Wisconsin Space Grant Consortium and the Program Director for First Nations Launch. Joining from our team this evening is Connie Engberg.
Hi, everybody.
And then from Tripoli Rocketry Association, we have from Wisconsin, Frank Noble.
Evening.
And from Illinois, Bob Justice.
Hi, everybody.
Both of these gentlemen will be at the launch and will be assisting us. And if you do your certification launch in Wisconsin during the competition weekend, they are your go-to individuals for your certification. Then from First Nations Launch, hopefully everybody's made it on, so we'll start going through the list. We have Mark Abatossaway, who will be doing the build tonight, and we'll have a focus on his work site, and you'll be watching him to see exactly what he's doing. Mark, can you say hello?
Haneen, welcome to First Nations Launch workshop. A lot of you guys are new teams, so glad to have you here. And hopefully we'll see you on launch weekend in April.
And is Genevieve Benali here by any chance? She made it on yet? Okay.
No, she hasn't.
She'll be here soon. And then also this evening is Sean Osserman, one of our FNL alumni and a volunteer support. He's one of our judges or assistants for the Gateway Challenge. Sean?
Hi, how's it going, everyone? Trying to get my camera on right now. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Nice, yeah, hi. Happy to be here. I've been helping out for the last 2 years now. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here, so.
Excellent, thanks, Sean. Tomorrow we'll have Dr. Farrow. He is from our collegiate rocket launch program, and he'll be taking over this role of doing the tech side of our program. And so he'll be here tomorrow with us. And then from AIAA, we have Trent Cybella. Trent.
Hi, everyone.
Trent is he's an alum from our statewide program, and he also is a part of our affiliate network within the state. So great friend of the program. Tomorrow, Jane Denali will be with us and we'll introduce her at that time. We have with us Steve Everett from the Everett Group. Steve.
Happy Friday, everybody.
And he is our evaluator. So he is the one that looks at our program and says, are we doing a good job? And so we are welcoming him this evening, and so glad to have him with us again. He's been evaluating our program since I think 2017, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right.
And then at the end of tomorrow's workshop, he will be asking you to take a survey, and we would like you to do that to help us out and be able to provide that feedback and report for Kennedy Space Center. So now what I would love to happen is we're going to make this quick. We're going to make it brief because we've got a lot of us to get through, but we do want to know who we're, let's say, screen to screen instead of shoulder to shoulder with this for the weekend. So please tell us your name, what's your area of instruction, if you're a faculty member, if you're a professional, what company that you work with and what your profession is, and then what's your rocket experience and what are your goals and expectations for the workshop. Connie, I'm going to let you call the people who will be up so that you can also take attendance at that time.
Okay, and it looks like a few people are still missing or they're just on a different computer. So when I say your name, it might be a couple of different people on the same computer. So we're going to start with Carthage College and Iris.
Yes, I'm here, Iris from Carthage College. I'm studying engineering science and chemistry at Carthage College. I've done a couple of small rocket launches, but nothing big like this, so I'm very excited. I don't have a ton of expectations going into this workshop. I'm just super happy to be here.
Thanks, Iris. College of Menominee Nation, Jennifer.
Hi, everybody. I have been bringing teams to the First Nations launch for a long time, but I have always found other people to help with their questions. So now I'm learning it for myself, and I mainly teach teacher education courses right now.
And
Thank
if
you,
I may
Jennifer.
say, First Nations launch is here because of the work that College of Menominee Nation did many, many years ago, and the idea and the forethought that they had to have a program like this for Native Americans. So First Nations launch really is the child from, born out of College of Menominee Nation. So we're always glad to have you back and a part of the program.
Yes, thank you. Next, we have College of Muskogee Nation. I only have Cynthia Wood on. I don't know if you have everybody with you, Cynthia.
Yes, there are 4 of us here.
Okay, if you could all introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Okay, I'll start. I'm Cindy Wood. I am the team sponsor, and we're at College of the Muskogee Nation, and I teach science, and I'm just excited to be guided by the best in building my level 1 certification rocket. Okay.
And my name is Cynthia Sanders, and I'm her kind of person that kind of helps her out a little bit, but I'm just a beginner, and I'm going to learn more about how you process this rocket.
I'm Ayon Antanian. I'm studying natural resources here, and I'm just excited to be here and excited to get my level 1 certification.
SJ, my name is Tevin Phillips, and I'm criminal justice major, and it's my first time building rockets, and I'm pretty excited being here, first time. Yeah.
Great, thank you all. Fort Lewis College, Charlie Hakes.
Okay, there's the unmute. Yeah, I'm Charlie Hakes, and there's 4 students out here. I'm just the one that brings the chips and cookies for tonight. I'll let them introduce themselves. I don't know who is on their own Zoom. Maybe we all are. Oh,
Yeah, I have a couple on their own Zoom. I have Lyric, Vari, and Zach, and then I have not seen Sally Thompson yet.
Sally Thompson is Miles Johnson right now.
Do we have someone subbing in for Sally?
Yes.
Is she not going to be building with us?
Yes, he's going to be building.
Okay, so we'll have to talk about that later in terms of registration. But if Lyric could go ahead and introduce.
You're on the Zoom? Yeah, he's on the Zoom already.
Yeah, go ahead, Lyric.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lyric. I go to school at Fort Lewis College, majoring in engineering. And I'm just excited to be here. This is my first time actually getting my hands on the model rocket itself. So pretty excited to get my level 1 certification. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Lyric. Vari.
Hello, my name's Mari Timmons. I'm an engineering major.
Maybe if
I'm
you guys
interested
are
in
all in
the
the same
space
room.
industry, so that's why I thought joining this club would be fun. This is the second rocket I built, but the first one was like way smaller, maybe a foot.
Okay. Yeah, so for schools that are coming up, if you have more than one person in the same room, maybe only have the mic on for the person speaking at that moment. And then Zach.
I'm Zach. I'm an environmental science major. This is my first like bigger launches. I've done some smaller launches, and I'm pretty excited to be here.
Thanks, Zach. And then who was taking Sally's spot?
Hello. My name is Miles. I currently have a misused camera at the moment, but I have done several past launches for my freshman year. I am a sophomore right now. And yeah, I'm finally getting my cert. So I feel great.
Okay, so I will need to talk to you later about registering in place of Sally. Okay, next we have Northern Oklahoma. I'm not sure, Frankie, if you are with your team. If not, Abigail can start.
I'm so sorry. I don't think Mrs. Woodblack will be here. I think she's at a conference or something. But
Okay.
I am Abigail Vargas. I am an engineering student at NOC Tonkawa, and I don't really have any other rocket experience, but I'm really excited to be here to build with you guys. So
Great, thanks, Abigail. How about Grant?
Hi, I am Grant Biggers. I'm on the NOC Enid campus. I'm majoring in pre-engineering here, and I have very, very little prior experience. I've worked with like a foot tall estate rocket, but I've nothing on this scale. So
Great, thanks, Grant. And I'm not sure if your teammate Brenna is on. I haven't seen her yet.
I'm right here.
Oh, there you go. Great.
Yeah. So I'm Brenna Leonard. I go to NOC as well on the Tonkawa campus. We're all engineering majors at this point. I didn't know Grant was. And before coming here, I had very little rocket experience, but my great uncle has talked to me about building them before. So
Great, cool. Okay, and then from Northwest Indian College, Lisa.
Hi. Hi, my name's Lisa Redsteer. I've competed with Northwest Indian College in the past and have a decent amount of experience. I'm a little rusty, but I did a training with UW over the summer, so I've got my level 1 rocket ready to go. I was trying to find some students that would be able to participate in this workshop, but we just started the quarter and things are a little crazy, but I do have 2 students in mind for competition and have expressed that they wanted to attend. And yeah,
wonderful.
I'm just excited to be here and to participate and just to step in. I was hoping that I would have a student here to be able to build the rocket, but just wanted to check in with you guys and be a part of it. So thank you.
Great. And Enwick has been a part of First Nations launch for many years as well. Next, Nueda Hadatsastanish. Is Anne with you guys today?
Han is not here this evening.
Okay, so are the rest of you all on one screen?
We have 3 screens, but there are 5. Yeah.
Okay, because I haven't been able to check any of you in. So Editola, am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, if you could introduce yourself first.
So I'm Adetola, a faculty here at NHSC. And then I have another faculty here with me, Kevin. And we have 3 students who will introduce themselves. By the way, I sent you a private chat, please, if you can please check. We have something I want to clarify.
Oh, okay, sure. And then I think William might go by Matthew.
Yes.
Okay, so Matthew, could you introduce yourself? I'm not sure if you're speaking. We don't hear you yet.
Use this.
Okay, I can't get my camera to work, but I have mic working. So I'm Matthew Murdoch. Yeah.
He's muted himself, so let's go on to the next individual and come back to him if he can get things worked out.
Okay, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this either. Is it Dawn?
Dawn is not here today.
Okay, is someone going to be taking that spot instead?
Yes, that's what the chat I sent is about.
Oh, okay, I'll look at that a little bit later then. Okay, and then Oklahoma University, Amir?
Yes, hello. Can you guys hear me and see me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just struggling a bit with my internet. My name is Amir Al-Qadi. I'm an aerospace engineer at the University of Oklahoma, and this is my first rocket ever, and it'll be my first time competing, so I'm excited.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then Anne.
Hi, my name is Annie Lee, and like Amir, this is my first year building a rocket. I have no prior experience, and my major is chemical biosciences.
Okay, thank you, Anne. Let's see. United Tribes, is Alexa with you guys? If not, Jennifer?
I am here, but I won't be with them tomorrow.
Okay.
I can jump on if I need to after soccer.
Okay.
But yes,
Are you guys all on one computer as well?
Yes.
Okay, because I only have Jennifer checked in. So Jennifer, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. I go to school at United Tribes. I'm in the pre-engineering program. And I have minimal experience with rockets. Over the summer, we did what did we do? Yeah, Mark came out and we did some with some kids, but yeah, just minor rocket experience.
Okay. Well, you'll learn a little bit more today. And then Camille?
Yep, I'm Camille Youngberg. I'm studying civil engineering here at United Tribes, and I don't have very much rocket experience at all, besides fireworks.
Bottle rockets.
Bottle rockets.
Just kidding.
And that's why we do this, so that you'll have a little bit more. Okay, North Carolina, Pembroke, Caleb.
Oh, hello everyone. There we go. Yep. Okay. Cool. Hello everyone. My name is Caleb Locklear. My major is applied physics. Hopefully to go into mechanical engineering or aerospace engineering. Some rocket experience. I was part of the FNL competition last year with UNCP, and I'm just glad to build my first rocket.
Okay, and Seth.
I'm Seth Lowry. I'm applied physics major. Decided going into engineering. This is my first time building a rocket this size. I've only messed with model rockets probably one time, so I'm excited.
Wonderful. James Foster, is he there? I haven't seen him check in yet. No. Do
He's
you
not
have?
with us.
He's not. Okay. And then I know that you kind of have two other people there building with Steve as well. Is that right? Okay. So James is not there. Okay. And then Steve, you can talk to me on the side if you can give me some information on if someone's replacing James for the workshop. Next, we have UW-Madison and Brett Benally Thompson.
There we go.
Okay,
Here
great.
we are. Can you hear us?
Yep.
All right. So hi, Brett Benally Thompson. I'm continuing to be a student of life. I'm the team advisor for the FNL here. I'm the chapter advisor for our UW ACES chapter. I'm on the Council of Elders at the national level for ACES, and I'm a physician. And what else? I've been involved with FNL since 2015 or 16, I think. And I felt like I was a kid again, watching the space race go on the first time I came to the launch. So I never built a rocket before, so looking forward to it.
Great.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Is that Eli?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Eli Fox Baker. I'm a student here at UW-Madison. I'm on leadership for our ACES chapter. That's how we kind of heard about this, and studying history, but first time doing anything with any rockets, so just new experience, I suppose.
Okay, and then is it Nimke?
Yeah, Nimke's on a plane back from his family.
That's right.
Emergency. So he'll be with us tomorrow morning at 08:30. If Frank or Mark, who is ever gracious enough to join us then.
Right, that'll be Frank. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be coffeeed up and fed. So
Okay, and then let's see. Oh, last but not least, we have Mr. James Wood.
Yeah, getting this right here. All right. So hey, I'm James Wood. I'm very excited to be here. It's about time, I think, a few of you were saying. I've been involved with First Nations launch since 2011, I believe. And my job, I'm NASA Launch Services Program Chief Engineer here at the Kennedy Space Center. Got a little bit of rocket experience, but nothing like this. And I am looking forward to doing some serious learning over the next day and a half. So very glad to be here, very excited to be here. So this is good. I really appreciate you guys doing this.
Thank you. Christine, back to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We are going to address some of the audio visual components that we'll need to address in just a moment, but we're going to move on. So as we go throughout the workshop, you will notice that each screen or each slide is colored a different color. If it is blue, it means it's a rocketry overview and fundamental. If it is green, it means it's a build section. If it is gray, it's a rocket simulation. And if it's yellow, it's a competition support. Now, if it's red, it is signifying that this information is not in your handbook, or there might have been a slight editing error. So that will need to be updated, and a new handbook will be put on the website for your convenience so that you'll have that afterwards. So our schedule, Friday night, as you can see, we are going to go through from the overview to the the supply list, you all should have done that. If you have not gone through your supplies, please put that in the chat right now. Because what we'll end up doing is putting you in a breakout room to go over your supplies to make sure you're good to go. And then we'll have Rocketry intro, pre-fit check, overview and build, epoxy and pre-fit check overview, and motor mount assembly and build, and the review for Saturday. Tomorrow we have a full day, as you can see. It starts at 10 a.m. We will go through to a lunch break, and that's when we get into the heart of building your rocket. So please be prepared, be ready, be excited. We have lots to get through. Take a quick screenshot if you need to, but we also sent out the schedule, and that also is available on the tools and tips if you need to review it. So the expectations for today, Zoom platform. So myself this evening, I'm going to be your workshop moderator. Tomorrow it will be Dr. Farrow, and we will help you with technical difficulties. Here's the key. All of you right now, and a couple things might not be in here because I'm making notes as we're going along. Your camera, I've said it before, please leave it on. So right now, Matthew, Miles, I'm calling you out. Grace, Charlie, Tola, Stephen, I see all of you without cameras. Please get put them on. If you are having difficulty in your room with somebody else, I would ask that you utilize their screen. We have several big groups on. That makes it very difficult for us to see if you're doing the build process correctly. So what we're going to need to do, if there is an advisor in the room, like Fort Lewis College, if Charlie's still there, if you could help us monitor your team and your students, because I know you're level 3. Steve Singletary, in your group, if you're there, please help us to monitor your group to make sure that your students are going through each step properly. The other schools, College of Muskogee Nation, United Tribes, and UW-Madison, at each step, we're going to need to see your rocket up close. So you might have to get up out of your seat and come to the camera and show us, and be prepared to do that so we can go, yep, you're doing it right, or no, you weren't. And so don't be surprised if we ask if we can't see it. One of our folks may say, hey, we need to see your build to make sure you're doing this correctly. If you need to step away for a break, please turn off your camera and just put it in the chat that you're stepping away so that we know it. We want you guys to be active, ask for help. And then if you need something, raise your hand, put it in the chat. Both Sean, Genevieve, they're going to be helping, and Trent, they'll monitor the chat and answer questions if you have them. And then if we are doing overviews like we're doing now, keep your mic muted, and then unmute during the build activities, because we want to be able to have that conversation with you. We have the breakout rooms, as I said, and then we will have some options. Feel free to pin somebody if you want to keep it on there, and I will be spotlighting between Frank and Mark so that you can see what they're doing during the build. Now, on the bottom of each screen of your of the slide deck, you're going to see in the bottom left-hand corner, it will say what reference to the handbook you can refer to, so you'll know where to go in the handbook if you're trying to keep both of them going at the same time. Please take notes, because that's going to help you. Rocketry should be installed, and that should be good to go. If you did not do it before today, if you are having problems, we most likely are not going to be able to assist you, because that needed to be addressed with Apogee Rockets. We can try, but we're not sure. If, again, you haven't got it uploaded to your computer, please put it in the chat so that we know. And if we need to break away to a breakout room, we can during this overview session. And then the rocket build. We'll walk you through it, and you are going to complete it in real time. So what are our objectives? We want to introduce you to the design, build, fly concepts of high-powered rocketry. Now, remember, it's only an introduction. We're not going to get through everything. We're not going to be able to address everything because there's simply not enough time, but we're going to give you that baseline, that good foundation. You are going to build a level 1 high-powered rocket. It is going to be single deploy. And the kit that we're using is the Lock Precision Caliper ISP kit. Now, you'll have a basic understanding of Rocketry when we're done, that flight simulation. And then also, we're going to understand what it means to have a level 1 certification. So I'm just glancing this over. We should have gone through all of our materials and supplies. So we're going to skip through it unless there was a question. If you had a question, please raise your hand. So your workspace should look a little bit like this display right here, where you have everything laid out and you're ready to go, so that this build process is going to be your friend and you are going to be successful.
I believe Grace had a question about her kit.
Yes.
Go ahead, Grace.
I just sorry for interrupting, but I just had a few things that I'm not quite sure if I just can't find them or if they didn't arrive. Yeah.
So Sean, can you break Sean and Connie maybe break away to a breakout room? And you can go over what's missing. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Are you going to put us
Right.
in a room, or
Can you do it, or do I need to do it for you?
I don't know that I know how to do that. Let's see, breakout rooms. Okay, I think I can do it.
Perfect. Thank you, ma'am. All right, just to get you excited about.
Question, are you gonna take everybody that has not gone through their kits, or?
If you have not gone through your kit, then yes, we'll go to a breakout room and go through that with those of you who have not gone through your entire kit yet.
And it's not allowing me to be in a breakout room, it looks like.
Connie, I think I can push you there.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Trent.
It's going to be Connie, Sean, and Grace. Is that right?
Yes. And if anybody else needs to be put in the breakout room to go over their supplies, Trent will help you get into that room to go over it. All right, to get you excited about what we're going to do, we're going to show a video.
The First Nations launch has been just an amazing opportunity for me.
The whole goal is to design, build, and fly a rocket.
We launched our rocket earlier this day. It was really exciting.
No matter what team they're on, everyone works together.
The camaraderie that's built among the teammates and the team members, students, advisors, grad students, undergrads.
Launching our rocket for the first time was exciting. I didn't know what to expect, so just watching it up in the sky and being able to hear it was just amazing.
So I hope that excites you. Oh, we're just going really quick here. Where did we go? I hope that gets you excited about what we're going to be doing and all that you're going to be learning. My apologies. I don't know how I got to. I'm going to go to escape real quick. Whoa. Well, there we go. My apologies, everybody. Let's get you to here. And slideshow. So tools and tips for today and this weekend. If you need anything, under the tools and tips link, you can find the Launch to Learn workshop 2023. There's reimbursement forms for if there's any expenses that you have to get reimbursed for, local contacts for your Tripoli and NAR if you are doing a local launch, and then also travel accommodations, meaning if you need to ship your rocket to the competition because you're going to get certified during the competition. So just wanted to make you aware of those different areas on the website that will be helpful for you with the Launch to Learn program. Also, if you think about this in your names, I'm seeing various names. Sometimes it's not a full name. If you could take time and rename yourself so it's your first name and last name, that will help our support staff be able to assist you. High-powered rocketry began in 1957. There was a Scientific American article that was teaching folks how to design and have propellant formulation and launching techniques. Many of you have heard of Homer Hickam. He was the Rocket Boy, part of the Rocket Boys, and he has a great story. And if you're interested, I would highly encourage you to look into him and just his story. He's also an author, and the picture up in the right-hand side is a picture of myself, Homer Hickam, and the former advisors for the Northwest Indian College. Two important groups, as we'll often refer to, are NAR, National Association of Rocketry, and Tripoli Rocketry Association. Tripoli Rocketry Association is the organization that's helping put on this program today. The one thing tonight, it's going to be a little bit different, but when you get to competition weekend, you are going to come and you are going to see that every team will have a very different rocket. And even with all of your rockets, if you choose to paint it or, be creative and design something with it, every rocket will be a little bit different. And that's one of the coolest things about rocketry, is that no two rockets are alike. Each one of them is a little bit different. Trent, I am 2 minutes behind. My apologies, sir.
No, you're all good. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go over a couple of slides here that are might be reviewed to some of you, but it's good to tackle anyways. And those are going to be the stages of flight for our rockets. And these stages are applicable both to high-powered rockets as well as model rockets like ST's rockets, with some variances that we'll see. So there are 6 stages to a successful flight of a rocket. It starts with launch. We defined launch as a period of time where the rocket is powered, meaning that there is combustion gases coming out of the back of the vehicle, and while it's still attached to the launch rail. After successfully launching and leaving the launch rail, having built up adequate speed to be able to have a stable flight, we call that the powered ascent stage. The rocket is continuing to produce thrust and is accelerating upward. Once the motor has burnt out, meaning that there's no more propellant left in the back of the rocket, then we go through a stage called coasting flight. That means that we're still gaining altitude, but we are beginning to slow down. We're beginning to reach the highest point that the rocket will achieve, which is called apogee. After coasting flight, we arc over apogee, and then very shortly after apogee, and that is the highest point of the rocket in flight, we have an event called an ejection charge. And this is where a small charge of usually black powder, something which creates a expanding gas, detonates inside of the rocket, and that positive pressure as a result of that small explosion then causes the rocket to separate in 2 or possibly more pieces, depending on the configuration. And that's what allows the parachute, which is inside of your rocket, to then escape, open up, and then deploy. And after the deployment of your parachute, you enter a phase called the slow descent phase, and so named because you are descending, but you're not doing it uncontrolled. You're doing it nice and slow and safely. And then finally, the final stage is recovery. Next slide, please. And very similarly, what we're showing right here is the configuration for what we call a dual deploy flight profile. And this follows all the same steps, except that we break up the descent into 2 different phases. There is the initial ejection charge, which we talked about before, where a smaller parachute, which we typically call a drogue parachute, is deployed. And the drogue parachute slows down the rocket, but it doesn't slow it down enough where if it hit the ground, it would prevent the rocket from being damaged. It allows the rocket to come down slowly, but significantly faster than what you would if you had deployed your main parachute or a larger parachute. And it's kind of confusing as to why you would want to go ahead and first complicate yourself by deploying a small parachute, which isn't sufficient, and then later on deploy a larger parachute, which will actually bring down the rocket in a more safe manner, a slow manner. But there's a very important reason for doing this, which is that if your rocket is going to a very high altitude, which some of yours probably will be, really in my book, anything that goes over 1,000 feet, to be honest. If you were to deploy your main parachute at a high altitude, the rocket's going to come down so slowly that you're going to be chasing it for potentially miles, and it's going to drift away from you, and it's going to really suck to try to recover it. And so what you want to do is you want to save that large parachute for once it gets really, really close to the ground. So, and then you deploy a smaller parachute, the drogue, at a higher altitude, so that you make sure that you can reduce the speed of descent, but you also keep the speed of descent fast enough so that you're not going to have to chase this thing to the next county in order to collect it. So only difference here is that you have 2 deployments, one of which is going to be a small parachute, which is the drogue, and that'll happen near apogee, or the peak of the flight. And then once it gets down to a lower altitude, somewhere between usually like 300 and 900 feet, somewhere in there, then you deploy the main parachute, and that slows you down to an actual level, which is going to make sure that you're not crashing into the ground. And here you can see just a comparison to those 2 flight profiles again. Again, the launch, the power descent, the coasting flight, those are all the same. It's just really a function of whether or not you feel as though you are flying at a low enough altitude where you are comfortable using 1 parachute or breaking it into 2. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when it comes to RockSim, because that simulation software will help you understand how long it's going to take for your rocket to drift down to the ground. And by playing with things like the simulated wind velocities and et cetera, you can go ahead and figure out, well, am I going to have to travel, 100 feet to go collect my rocket, or am I going to be, traveling 1,000 feet or 2,000 feet to go collect my rocket? Another thing to point out is that if you were doing a dual deploy system, meaning that you have more than 1 parachute, that effectively necessitates the need for electronics in your rocket. If you're just doing a single deployment, you can use a chemical charge with a delayed burn in order to deploy your parachute. And in the dual deploy configuration, you can still use a chemical delay burn for one of those 2 parachutes. But in order to get the second one to deploy, you need to employ some type of electronics, which are doing something like measuring the air pressure, or using some other sensors to determine how high up the rocket is. And typically those electronics then would be used to say, oh, okay, the rocket is now at 500 feet. I need to deploy this second parachute. And that's done using a battery and an Arduino or some other type of small electronics to do that. Next slide, please. Okay. And then here's the final note. This is more specific to the competition parameters that you'll be dealing with for First Nations Launch 2023. And it's broken up between 3 different competition levels. There's Gateway, Moon, and Mars. And those go in order of complexity and difficulty as you go up. Gateway is entry level. Effectively, you're going to be building a stock kit and trying to fly to a particular altitude or range of altitudes. And then into the Moon and Mars brackets, this year's competition parameters are focused around structures, airframe design, using advanced materials. And so for the Moon and Mars levels of the competition, you'll be introducing custom materials and materials that you'll be making yourself in order to improve the rocket in some way, make it stronger, make it lighter, etc. This is a really, really good cutaway section of what we're talking about when this is rocket anatomy. This is your anatomy class, except we're talking about rockets. And so I'll start from the top and then I'll work my way down. The top picture we're looking at is a 3D render of a typical high-powered rocket. This one's a little bit fancy because it has split fins at the back. A lot of high-powered rocket models don't have that split fin configuration, but the main takeaway here is knowing that the back half of your rocket is referred to as the booster, and the front end of your rocket is referred to as the sustainer section. And depending on whether or not you have 1 or 2 parachutes, your booster section and your sustainer section may contain a parachute. Or alternatively, if you only have 1 parachute in your rocket, then typically it is the booster section that contains the parachute. And then if we look down one level from there, in the middle, you can see what the innards of your booster section actually entail. And so inside of the booster section, we have the motor mount, which is a smaller diameter tube, and that's going to actually contain your motor. You have the coupler, which is called so because it couples together the booster section and the sustainer section together and make sure that they don't separate. And then in between the coupler and the motor mount is what we call the recovery. And the recovery is kind of a blanket term, and that includes all of the strapping, the shock cords. It's all the connective tissue on the inside of your booster section that holds together the booster section, sustainer section, and also connects everything to a parachute. And then finally, on the bottom row there, this is another 3D render of the rocket from the top. However, this is given to you in a format which in engineering circles anyways, we would call this a wireframe model. And this allows you to see the 3D representation of the rocket, but then also you can see the motor mount, you can see the recovery system and the coupler on the inside of that 3D model. And when we go into RockSim, you'll be able to, most of what you see in RockSim will be viewed through the lens of a wireframe model, which is important to know. Okay, cool. So the next couple of slides are us going to be doing our first introduction to RockSim. And really what we're going to do over these first couple of slides is I'm going to show you how to find the model file for the Caliber ISP rocket that we're going to be building together over the next 2 days. And then just doing a very simple overview of some of the user interface for the RockSim program. So Christine, Connie, is it okay for me to go ahead and share my screen now? Go ahead and share this. Okay. If everything's going well, you guys are hopefully looking at my screen right now, which is good. Okay. So this is the main user interface for RockSim. This is what you're going to be seeing when you load up the program. And as you can see, it's kind of boring at the moment because this whole section down here, actually, wait, can I go ahead and let's see, can I? Nah, forget it for another time. Oops. Get rid of that. Okay. The box at the bottom of the screen right here is empty because there currently is no rocket file loaded into RockSim. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. So what I'm going to show you then is if I go over here, you're going to want to go to a website that looks like this. This is rocketreviews.com, and inside of the presentation that we have sent out and that we're also looking at together, there should be a link to rocketreviews.com. And this is a great website because what it effectively does is it allows you to not have to start from scratch when it comes to your rocket builds. I think it's a very important skill, and I highly encourage everybody to do their rocket builds from scratch, especially if they're building the rocket from scratch, right? But if you are building from a kit like the Caliber ISP, there are a whole bunch of people out there, enthusiasts in the community, that have built RockSim files and then have uploaded them to this site. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and search for that kit, and from this page, I can go ahead and I can select from a whole bunch of different kit manufacturers. You might recognize a couple of these, like for example, Estes rockets. I bet a lot of you have probably done Estes rockets in the past. I like Estes rockets. Estes rockets are fun. You don't necessarily need to build big in order to have fun, right? But what we're going to be looking for is we're going to be looking for the manufacturer called Lock Precision. If I go ahead and click go, it's going to load a page here with a whole bunch of different kits that this company, Lock Precision, has made. And if I look right here in the middle, there is an option for a Caliber ISP. And if I click that, It's going to bring me to a page, which again gives me a wireframe representation of the rocket. And it's going to give me the ability to download this kit with the .rkt file extension, which means that it's, well, it's short for Rocket, but it means that it's a file extension that could be read by RockSim. So if I go ahead and click that, it's going to download. And for the purposes of this demonstration, I've actually already downloaded it here. You can see lock caliber ISP rocket right there. So I'll just hit save again. And once that's downloaded, I can go back to my window right here and go to File, Open, and then go to wherever you happen to save that file to. It opened right up for me because I just have it saved on my desktop. And we're going to select Lock Caliber ISP Rocket, and then open that up. And took a minute there, and here it is. So as we talked about before, this is a wireframe representation of our rocket. And I can go ahead and I can look at it from this side profile here. Or alternatively, if I select this button, I can switch to a front profile to look at it from the front. And so what we're looking at here is you can tell that this rocket has 4 fins because you're looking at it straight from the back, and you know there's 1, 2, 3, 4 fins on it. Or if you want to get cute with it, there is in fact a way for you to look at a 3D representation of it too. So if I go ahead and select this button and then go to the drop down and hit 3D, here is a 3D representation. A little bit of a crude one, but a 3D representation of that particular rocket. And you can go ahead and drag this and then flip it around and look at it from a bunch of different angles. And there actually is a way to export this 3D model too, although it uses a file format, which I'm not especially familiar with. You can also change the color of it too, so that it looks a little bit prettier and makes it look a little bit nicer to look at. But all in all, you're not really going to be using this 3D model too much. You're going to be using this 2D representation here. Let me go ahead and check and see where I am right now. Thank you, Christine. 2 minutes. Okay, cool. So a couple of things I'm going to do for convenience sake is that some of these little icons that are showing up down here on my wireframe representation, all these, like there's a little tiny M here, there's like a little blue dot, there's a red dot, there's an M. All of those are very useful pieces of information that RockSim places over the top of my model. And they're really, really tiny right now. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and make those a little bit bigger. So up here at the top, when you open up RockSim, you're always going to start on this tab that says Rocket Design Components, and this is the most important place to be. If I go over to Rocket Design Attributes, which is this tab over here to the left, and click here, I'm just going to go over to these little sliders over here that say things like design-specific 2D display properties. And I'm just going to make these a little bit bigger. So this item that says side view marker size, I'm going to make that, let's say, 1 inch. And it made all of those icons on my wireframe significantly bigger, so it's easier to see. So I'm just going to keep it like that. Now I don't have too much more time left for this section, but in addition to looking at the wireframe representation of your rocket down here, and you can see, you know, the booster and the sustainer section, you can see the motor mount tube, the fins, all of those components that are visible here, you know, as effectively a drawing, are also up here at the top too. And they're organized in such a way where you can see the sustainer section and the booster section, just like how we talked about before. And then if I click these little plus signs that are next to sustainer section and booster section, it shows you all the components that are inside of both of those sections of tubing. And so inside the booster section here, which again, the booster section is the back side of the rocket, the parachute's in there, the shock cord is in there, the components of the motor mount tube are in there, and the fins are in there. And you can change the weight, the dimension, the size, the shape of all of those different components by going ahead and then double clicking the items that exist inside of this component selection tree up here. And then similarly in the sustainer section, there's not too much more. There really isn't too much in the sustainer section. Yeah, at any rate, so the components exist in that tree file format, and then affecting those components in that list that affect what happens in the wireframe model below. And I'm out of time, so back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Trent. I'm going to go back and share the screen. Here we go. And Frank, you are up, sir.
Hey, good afternoon or good evening, everyone. Frank Noble here. We're going to do the rocket build pre-fit check. The key to a proper fit and adhesion to your components and each component is to try a dry fit of all parts before applying any epoxy to the parts. Do not oversand any of your parts. Always sand a little and check again. You have to sand some more, check sand a little bit and check some more. And check for snug fit that is required for the model. Parts to fit to dry fit. The centering rings, your coupler, bulk plate, motor mount tube, your airframe, fins, and nose cone. That's practically almost every intricate component of the rocket. What's on the next page there, Christine? Okay, we're going to identify the parts that you have. You should have a forward motor mount ring, which only has one small hole in it, as shown in the top picture. That's the forward. And I would take your pencil and write forward on it, please, or FW. The next ring has no holes in it except for the 38mm hole that you see here. Please write on it a MID for mid, the mid motor mount ring. And last but not least, you should have one more motor mount ring that has two small holes on it on each side. Please mark that as the aft. And on the aft side, please put the word in. I see you got the out on there. Thank you, Mark. It's very important, aft and the in. Okay, what I want you to do here is identify, of course, your centering ring, which you did. Rough sand the motor mount just enough to remove the glass seam. You have a motor mount tube, as Mark shows you, and take your sandpaper. And I would suggest on sanding the whole. I don't. Mark, do you have a white? Do you have a white tube?
I do not. Mine's brown.
Oh, yours brown, and it has the glass seam on it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. There's like a little shiny wax film on the motor mount tube. You should sand that off a little bit. Just sand it off enough where it's just a little rough. Don't sand it to where your motor tube is fuzzy or anything. And the best thing to do to sand it is grab the whole sandpaper like this and put your glove on. Your glove has a good grip on it. You can grip the sandpaper and you can actually turn the motor mount tube on the sandpaper with little effort. You should get you pretty roughed up. Do the whole tube, please. And once you've done the enough sanding of the tube, check your motor mount ring and see if they all fit on there, kind of snug, not loose. It can be a little loose, but not too loose. and you can slide it through the whole tube. If they still are too snug yet, and you're taking the glassine off the tube, go ahead and sand the inside ring of the motor mount tube with some sandpaper. What I've done in the past is kind of secure the sandpaper on a craft stick and just sand it like this, so you got a nice firm.
Frank, it sounds like when you move away from the camera, some people are having a hard time hearing you. So, like, when you're talking like that, in that direction, I think it's easier to hear. And then we're hearing somebody standing besides you.
I think that's Mark's, ain't it? That's what he's doing.
He looks
No,
like
I got it. I got it.
Okay. Okay, hopefully that's better. Let us know if you still can't hear everybody.
Is this okay? Can you hear me good?
That's much better. Thank you.
Okay. You can take your craft stick with some sandpaper wrapped around and do the inside. It's probably best if you lay your material on the table and sand it.
Is there any way that we can have the person showing us this be the screen that's shared?
Right there. He's on. He should be on.
Yeah, so if
make your screen a little smaller, slide your presentation to the left a little bit.
do you
get bigger?
Yeah, do you have the webcams up? Do you see that as a panel?
Who are you speaking to, Sean?
Whoever was just talking.
All right, so that's Jennifer Morris.
Jennifer, yeah, do you have the webcams up on the side? Should be like a panel.
I'm working on it. I still
Okay.
see the slide as a big part of my screen, but I'll figure it out.
Jennifer, for mine, it's at the top right corner. It says view. And if you click on side by side, you would, I think you could get Mark.
That does it. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So all your motor mount rings should fit kind of snugly on your motor mount too.
Jennifer, also there's a slider between the two that you can increase Mark's screen if you need to. Like the divider, yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
My little like ring things are really tight. Do I just keep sanding until they're not?
Well, they'll fit on there snugly, snug.
Like it's like a little more than snug though. Like I
Okay.
can't even like push it past this.
You got it on though. Go ahead and sand the inside of the ring or the cardboard tube again.
Okay. I didn't want to sand too much.
Yeah, a lot of high-powered rocketry build heavy is sanding.
Okay.
That's right. Don't sand too much. Just sand a little and check again. And if don't fit, do it again. Sand again. And as you're pre-fitting it onto the tube, make sure you don't mushroom the end of it either.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Very tight, but just not tight enough where you're accidentally crushing the tube.
Yeah, don't be afraid. You won't crush anything, but you may.
One of the things that we are going to ask throughout this build is when you are done with a step to go ahead and in the chat, give a thumbs up. so that we know that you're done. And if we need to look at not just the thumbs up here, because we're not going to see that with 30 of you, close to 30, 39 of you, us on, put a thumbs up in the chat. And that way our folks can double check and make sure, and they may ask you, hey, let me see it.
Brenner Leonard, I don't see any action going on. How you doing?
I cut my finger, so I'm grabbing a Band-Aid real quick.
Oh my.
It's nothing serious. I just got it with the edge of the sandpaper a little bit.
Oh, paper cut.
We got first blood.
Did you get your rings to fit?
Not yet. I have been working on that.
Okay.
And I am just going to double check Ayana, Tevin, Tola, Camille. I don't see your cameras on, so we cannot see what you guys are doing. If you could turn them on, please.
Thanks, Iris. Thanks, Cara. Iris has got it. Dan's got it. What's he got here? Amir. You done? Singletary group is good, right?
I feel like I'm sanding too much, but they still don't fit.
Did you sand the ring too inside?
Yeah. I did both. Do I just keep going?
Keep sanding. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
I'm scared I'm gonna do too much.
Have you sanded your whole motor mount tube, the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. If you put your gloves on, you can grab that sandpaper really good. It grips the sandpaper. And then spin your tube around like this. It takes a lot off.
Okay, thank you.
Matter of fact, it's all over my computer. James Wood, you're cool? Thumbs up?
Thumbs up, yes.
Thank you, sir. Grant, you good? Just give me a thumbs up on the camera. Seth? Oh, you're cool. There you go. Caleb? Thank you. Mr. Lee is good there. And thumbs up on Annie. Riley Group. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Jennifer. She says I got it. Brett and gang, how you doing? Thank you. Devin, you're working on it, right? Excellent.
Riley, do I see yours with the ring on it? Okay.
Hi, Genevieve.
We're so glad to have you here, Jen.
My apologies for being late. I was still driving on the freeway coming home.
We understand.
And please do not, you can read ahead. Please do not work ahead.
You took the words out of my mouth, Frank. All right.
One other point, a lot of your cameras are pointed maybe at your head, but not at your work. So maybe tilt it down a little bit so that we can see what you're doing as well.
And I am going to say again, if you haven't done so and you can, if you can rename yourself so that we see your first name and your last name, even maybe your school, that would be so helpful.
Abigail, how you doing?
You know, I'm still standing, but I think I'm getting somewhere. It just doesn't like go
Try
past this.
Did you try the other end? Still?
Oh, that works. Let me see if these fit now.
Try twisting it a little bit.
Okay, I think I can get it.
All right, if you twist it a little bit too, it'll go on.
Okay.
Is there a certain way the holes need to be facing, or is just?
Not at this moment.
All right.
Are we ready for the next slide, Frank?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, the centering rings. You're going to have the forward center ring. Remember you put forward on the center ring that has one small hole on it and one huge hole on it. This is your forward centering ring. Please go into your little parts and grab your small eye bolt. And I believe you should have 2 nuts and 2 washers for this. My Abigail was going to say, I can't get my ring off.
So that's something we will need to update in the PowerPoint if we increase that to 2 and 2.
Right.
So note
Well,
that it'll be different in your handbook than what it is taking place.
Right. If you don't have 2 washers, use the one you have, of course. And that only single washer, if you only have 1 washer, that'll go on the back side of this operation. So if you have 2 washers, spin 1 nut on to the eye bolt all the way to the end. And then put your washer on against that nut on the eye bolt. That's the small eye bolt. And then take your eye bolt and insert it into the forward centering ring. Take your other washer and install it onto the eye bolt, the threaded eye bolt on the back side of the motor mount ring, and spin on your nut. And it doesn't have to go on necessarily really tight. We have another procedure for this, but get it on as snug as you can by holding the nut and turning the eye bolt, so you get it nice and snug. And it doesn't matter what position that eye bolt is on the motor mount ring. It doesn't really matter.
We have a question by Camille. Go ahead, Camille.
I have a question.
Whoops. Go ahead. Go ahead, Camille. You're muted.
Wait.
Someone other's speakers on, that's why. Do you have 2 washers on your eye bolt?
Well, no. My question, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, I have this package right here. I'm holding up to my screen, and then I have this package right here.
Okay, it's the small, right. As I said, it's the small eye bolt, not the big one.
Okay, so I'm missing parts from mine because when I opened it, they weren't available inside here. So
Show me that. What that, we're not working on that part right now anyways.
Well, okay.
But you are short on that, you are short parts of that, that particular part?
Yes, it looks like I'm short quite a bit of things.
Do
So
you have- do you have a nut on that particular part?
What was in the other bag, Camille?
With the
this-
center,
They're all open, so I don't know if somebody else got to them first, but there's some, there's two of these, but they're much longer than that one you're using, but they look like the same size.
So
See this
my question to you, do you have a nut and a washer with that eye bolt, that big one?
The big one, there is,
Yeah.
but look, I'm holding it up to the computer screen here, and it's that big flat one. It's not gonna fit on there. Like it'll.
Correct. We are not using that eye bolt. You're using the small eye bolt.
she doesn't have the small eyeball, she said.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Do you have any smaller washers in the other package?
There's two, and that's it. And then there's two of the smaller ones, but it's not part of what Mark, is that what you're showing me? So it doesn't, I didn't have those supplies in here at all to begin with.
It should have came in the bag with the centering rings, should have been the washer.
Right.
But you said there's two other small washers. Those are the
Yeah,
only two.
I'm holding it up to my camera.
Yeah, that's the eyeball, that's the one you want.
Yeah, those are it.
Camille, that's the one you want in the one in your other hand.
The one
Yep,
in your,
that's the one you want.
the one in the bags. Yep.
Yeah.
So take your motor mount ring that has one hole in it and put the small eye bolt in that hole with a washer on the front and the back and a nut in the front and the back. Just like you see right there.
So the original eye bolt that you were holding up is the smallest one, and then use the two nuts and the two small washers that were in that bag.
Okay. Sorry, I was confused.
That's okay.
Sorry. My apologies, I won't. Sorry.
Is anybody else, everybody else getting it? Found all their
You want it? Yes. Yes.
items? Okay, are we ready for the next step?
Okay, once you've mounted that small eye bolt, install the motor mount retention thread T-nuts. This is a T-nut. Okay, it's got 3 prongs on it and it's threaded. You should have 2 of those. Everybody got that? You should have 2 of these T-nuts. Into the aft centering ring on the inside. You have your aft on your motor mount ring, and you have the in marked as aft and in. Okay. Now you're going to take your T-nuts and you're going to install them in the hole. That means you take your T-nut and see this flange. It's called a flange right here. I'll take a separate part here. It's called the flange. This flat part here with the prongs on it, it's the flange. Take that flange and install it on the side that says in. on both holes. You may have to take your shoe, end of a screwdriver, or if you got a hammer, and tap them in so that the prongs bite into the metal, bite into the wood. Or if you got a pair of pliers, you can squeeze it. And I think what we did in the past, if you don't have anything hard enough to sink those teeth into the wood of the motor mount ring, you take your 2 machine screws that you have, your number, I think those are number 8 machine screws, which come with that pack. And this is a machine screw. It's not a wood screw, it's a machine screw. It has a flat end on one and a Phillips on the other. They go with this T-nut. So what you can do is drive that T-nut in like that. I just dropped it, of course, and compress that T-nut into the wood by screwing that screw in tight.
When you've completed this step, put a raise hand on your screen, and then one of our team members will give you the thumbs up that it's okay and you can take your hand down.
Mark, you look pretty good there. James, thumbs up. Good.
Is it possible that we might have to drill our holes bigger?
No.
Yes.
So do you just keep smashing it till you make the hole big enough?
Yeah, it might be a little snug. Yeah, pound it in with something. Yes.
I'm gonna be honest. I am wearing very thick heeled boots, and I just put it on the floor and stepped on it.
Right. I'm just saying, use your shoe, step on it. If you have a hammer, use that.
That's true innovation right there.
Get a rock from outside, whatever it takes.
Yeah. Get it in far enough so that the teeth sink into the wood all the way, so that the flange is flat.
Iris, can you bring yours closer to the screen so we can see? And then the side of it.
Yeah, show us the side, Iris. Ah,
Yeah,
that's good.
that looks good.
Okay, Brett, you're good. Grace, how you doing? Beautiful.
Good job. Tevin, you have your hand raised.
If you haven't done so, please, and I couldn't see on some of the cameras, maybe you're using the pencil and resolution's not good. Don't forget the mark in on the side that the flanges that you're trying to pound. Write the word in on it. Looks like everybody's got it. I believe the parts are laser cut should not.
Colin, let's see the side of it. Yeah, that looks good. Grant? Where did Grant go? All of a sudden he disappeared.
So it looks
there he
like,
is.
is it Adela?
Does it say
Adatola?
in on that side, Grant? Yep, good.
Adatola, did you get yours in? And Steven, you're saying that you have 2 at your.
I'm still working on it.
Are you getting close to getting it in there?
Jennifer, PTC, how you
good.
doing?
Tevin, those need to be flush. Looks like they're still out a little bit.
Cindy, could you bring that closer?
Some of you people that are in workshops, you know, use their hammer that you got, or use the end butt of a screwdriver too, and just tap it in.
Yeah, Cindy, bring it closer to the camera. Cindy, can you bring it closer to the camera? It's hard to see if they're flush. Okay, now turn it sideways. They look like they, they look like they could get it be in there. Did you try stepping on it?
Hey, Cynthia, you got the screws in those? Jennifer Morris, you're looking good.
Tevin, that looks good.
There are no washers that go in behind the T-nuts. It is simply putting the T-nut into the hole. The washers were used on the forward centering ring, and the T-nuts are used on the aft centering ring.
Abigail, are you trying to show yours? That looks good.
The hole should not be drilling. It should not be drilled unless you have the wrong size T-nuts.
No screws or Ayana, I'm trying to figure out what you've put in. You put screws in? Did you put screws in? No, something doesn't look right for Ayana.
Jennifer, that looks good.
That's right on that side.
For the kids in Fort Lewis, there's definitely two different hole sizes. Two of the kits were great, and two of them, there's absolutely no way without drilling them out that the T-nuts would go in.
Are they a different size T-nut or?
No, the same size T-nuts, there's different size holes.
The hole's too small.
Cindy, that looks good.
Two of the kits had the holes were just way too small.
You're using the one that has two holes in it, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, just putting the kits side by side, the holes are definitely different sizes.
Can you drill it?
I already did that. I just wanted to mention that for people who are saying, yeah, you got to drill them.
Sorry about that, Stephen. Glad you guys figured it out, though.
If you don't have a drill, would they be able to use their awl to try and?
No, they break it.
I don't think so.
Would they break it?
No,
Okay.
we just happen to have a 3/16 there, and that was not as big as the other hole, because that was enough to.
Ayana, that looks but good. You took the screws out of the other side, correct?
Abigail, how you doing? You're kind of quiet there.
I'm good. I think I got it.
I think you do too.
Yeah, it looks good.
Frank, I do want to note it's 7:30. And we are supposed to be finishing pre-fit at 7:40. Okay.
Let's move on to the next slide.
Aditola said something about if she drills it, it will break.
What's gonna break?
Yeah.
What's gonna break?
Do you want to go in a breakout room with her, Bob?
Yep.
Okay, Trent, would you assign them over for me, please?
Yep, will do.
Thank you.
Anybody else needs a breakout room, please take advantage of it, please.
Frank?
Yes.
Brett, I've got a quick question. I had two small washers on here, just like we used for the small eye bolt. Do washers go on the screws that go into the aft mount? into the T, into the.
Yeah,
flip
there
it
are
over.
yes, there are some machine screws that go into the T-nut, yes.
Yes, but do washers go on those screws that
No,
go
they,
into the T-nut?
no, they do not.
Okay, thank you.
But we're not putting those screws into the T-nuts yet. Am I correct, Frank?
That is correct.
Yep. So you should not have screws in the T-nuts.
Yeah, take those screws out, put them off to the side, use them later.
Excuse me, Frank, I have a question.
Yes?
When we're putting the T-nut on or whatever, and it kind of goes to the outside and there's a little bit of a lip there on the side. So yours are perfectly centered there, but on mine, it kind of has a little bit of a lip over on the outside of the ring.
Okay, so your flange is hanging over on the side.
Yeah, just a little bit, but it's not too much.
That's no big deal.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks for bringing that up though.
I tried to send.
Hello,
Hello.
this is Lyric from Fort Lewis. I have a question.
Yes.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
If possible. So the placement of these, of the T, whatever those things are called, they're more close to the outer radius of the circle, whereas the demonstration was like right in between these.
Yeah, so here's the big one. That's the one that is right. And this one is the small one, and they're just at a different radius.
Will that be a problem?
Because what happens is when you put the T-nut in, it extends out too far that way.
How far? I can't. Someone's spotlighting Mark. I can't see your camera. I can't see the camera.
Hold
There you
it
go.
up close to
Okay.
the camera.
Okay, so yeah, so see, this is the right hole. It's
Yeah, go ahead.
it's
Yeah, go
centered.
ahead. Yep.
And here's the one that was smaller. You can see it's a lot farther out to the edge. And so that what happens is the T-nut extends over the edge here with the tiny holes.
Yeah,
So
I
I think
see
what we
that.
have to do is drill holes elsewhere to put the T-nuts closer to the middle.
Are those T-nuts a smaller diameter too than the other ones?
Nope, same diameter.
Okay.
Same T-nuts.
Yeah, that's no problem. It should clear. That metal should sand real easy. If you take some sandpaper and lay it flat on the table and take the edge of it and just sand that metal off.
Just take that down.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably do that. I can probably get a file too.
Thank you for bringing. Yeah, file will work excellent. Thank you for bringing that up. I'll note that.
Thank you.
So we're working on the bulk plate.
Yes, we are. Okay, we're going to install the big eye bolt onto the bulk plate. This is called a bulk plate. It's a solid piece of aircraft plywood with a hole in the middle. And you should have two fender washers, they call these. You should have two of those. And you should have two nuts with that also.
Got one, Frank.
I only have one.
Okay, if you only have one, if you have two washers, put one washer onto the eye bolt. Grab your bulk plate, put it through the center hole. Take your big flat fender washer, put that on the eye bolt, and install your only nut that you have for that, and snug it up the same way. Hold the nut with your hand and twist the eye bolt to make it snug and tight. Thank you, Mark. Okay, the bulk plate, Stan. You should have
Hey,
a,
Frank,
yes,
if you only have one washer, what side would you prefer them to have it on the eye hole side or on the nut side?
on the nut side.
Okay.
Okay, after you've got done installing your eye bolt on your bulk plate, take your coupler, it's a cardboard color tube. I believe it's 6 inches long. Yes, 6 inches long. It's called a coupler. And take your bulk plate and see if it fits snugly. The best thing to do is to put it in a 45-degree angle and insert it and straighten it out. And should be in there quite snug. That's just a pre-fit check, okay? There should be approximately about a 1/4 inch depth in, recessed inside the coupler. Once again, once you tighten up your eye bolt and everything, pre-fit your bulk plate onto your coupler, put it in at a 45-degree and slip it in approximately a 1/4 inch in. This is just a test fit. If it doesn't fit, sand either the bulk plate or inside the coupler. It's probably best to do the bulk plate. If it's too hard, put your sandpaper down on your piece of paper and grab your bulk plate and sand the edge of the bulk plate by rotating the bulk plate. But it should fit.
Quick question. So if it does not fit snug, if it's slightly too, I mean, it's pretty easy to move around.
That's fine.
It'll be fine. Okay.
So you're lucky, you don't have to sand.
Because anyways, when we come to gluing it in, we're not going to be doing that. We usually kind of tell you to hold it, squeeze it so it doesn't move, because it will move when you put epoxy on it, because epoxy acts kind of like a lubricant. So you got to hold it for like a minute and a half until the epoxy sets up, but do not put any epoxy on it yet, please. Okay, we have here. Good job there, Mark. Look at Mark's camera.
And if you notice the end of that, it is about a 1/4 inch from the end of the coupler.
Mine is also loose. I'm having to squeeze the tube to keep the bulkhead in place.
I'm going to go to the next slide.
Okay. Sure, go ahead. Okay, let's do the centering ring alignment. All my parts here. This one and this one. Okay, centering ring should fit on motor mount tube. And we're talking about your forward centering ring and your mid centering ring. Okay, that's all we're going to work with right now. We're not going to be working with the aft ring right now. That'll come later. So put that off to the side, please. What I want you to do is take your forward centering ring and drop it down to approximately 1/8 to 3/16 below the motor tube. And I want you to draw a line around that circle on the outside of it. Draw a line. Doesn't matter on the top or the bottom, but I would prefer you draw the line on the bottom.
Whoops.
If you do it on the top, no biggie.
Could you repeat that measurement, please?
1/8 to 3/16 of an inch. I go with the 3/16. That's like close to a 1/4 inch. How's that? You know what 3/16? You know what a 1/4 inch. So if you go to 1/4 inch, just go a little tick up. You should be about 3/16.
If you want to, you do have a ruler in your with your supplies that you can use for this.
Also, I want to point something out on these rulers, okay? And that's like any ruler. Because we're going to have you measure something, and I'm going to say it a couple times. Do not use the end of the ruler for measuring. Start where that mark is, where it says 0. Start there. When you measure something, do not use the end of the ruler. Use where that tick is right there. That's your reference right there to start measuring out. Just to let you know. Because that's the problem, Christine, when someone measures it for that center edge of that fin.
Correct. Good point.
Okay, you have your forward centering ring marked? Everyone? Thumbs up on the cameras? Yep.
So Frank, quick question.
Yes, go ahead.
The forward centering ring, the leading edge, the forward edge of that is touching the mark, or the aft edge of that is touching the mark?
I would put it on the top, the forward.
Forward. Okay, so the forward edge here on this side is touching the mark that I made on the cardboard tube at 3/16.
Correct. That'd be fine.
A firm. Okay. All right. Thank you.
What we're all going to do here, we're going to apply a glue below that line, some epoxy, and we're going to be applying glue at this mid center too. And we're going to push all these centering rings up so you have a nice fillet. So you got to make sure that reference mark is being covered right. You stop right at the motor mount ring. And we'll be using the top in this case. The measurement on the top, if you already marked the bottom of this already with the circle, with the mark, it's not, this part isn't crucial. It's the next part, the mid motor mount ring is crucial where we have to put it. Okay, center ring alignment. Measure the distance from the aft end of the airframe. I'm going to take a few seconds here to explain what aft end and forward is, okay? Every part of a rocket, booster, sustainer, nose cone, motor mount tube, okay? This is the aft end of the motor mount tube. This is the forward because we put the forward motor mount ring. This is the forward part. On the booster, you have the aft, you have the forward. On the sustainer, once you have the nose cone on, you have the forward part of the sustainer and the aft part of the sustainer. So when you're describing a part, you know what end you're referring to. Okay. Measure the distance from the aft end of the airframe. I think Mark is on it. I got it right here. Measure the aft end of the airframe, which is where the fin slots are. That's the aft end of the booster. To the forward slot for the centering motor mount ring placement. So when you measure from the aft end of the airframe to the forward fin slot, this is the forward fin slot. And you measure from the aft end of the booster of the airframe and make sure you're at 0, not at the end of the ruler. And it should come out to about 5 1/4 from the aft end of the airframe to the top part of the fin slot. That should be 5 1/4. And make sure you have that black line even with the end of the airframe on the aft end of the booster. Okay, what I want you to do is do the same thing on your motor mount too. I want you to measure, because this is your forward motor mount ring that's on here. This is the forward part of your motor mount. This is the aft end of your motor mount. I want you to measure from your aft end of your motor mount 5 1/4 inches. Take a ruler. Measure 5 1/4 inches from the aft end of the motor mount ring. Take your pencil and mark 5 1/4. If you wish, you can go 180 degrees and draw another line at 5 1/4 on the other side of that line, just for a reference. Now, once you've established that 5 1/4 inch mark, you got it written on here, 5 1/4, 5.25.
Frank, and I'm
Yes.
sorry, did we have them verify, just because we've had a couple of things off, that that is the distance from the end, the aft end of the airframe to the end of the fin slot, just to double check?
On the top of the fin slots, yes.
Okay,
So once again, you're measuring 5 1/4 from the aft end of your motor tube out and mark it. And your mid centering ring right here, which you've labeled MID. The bottom of that should stop right at 5 1/4. The aft end of that motor mount ring should stop at 5 1/4 that you marked from the aft end of your motor tube to the mid center. And once you've got that lined up, I want you to draw a circle on the aft end of that ring. So you got a nice reference mark there. Does anybody have any questions on this procedure? You want me to do it one more time? We're taking
looks
that.
like almost everybody has it.
Okay, great. Make sure you're.
Ayana, are you doing it on the right? Nope, you need to be doing yours.
This
that
is your
right?
forward.
Oh.
This is your forward centering ring. This is your aft end of the motor. That's where you measure your 5 1/4 this way to the center motor mount, mid motor mount ring. So I want you to mark 5 1/4 from the aft end on your motor tube to here, and then get your motor mount ring to that mark. And I want you to draw a pencil line around the bottom of that mid motor.
Grant has 3 on his. You do not want 3 rings on your motor mount tube.
This aft motor mount ring, I instructed everyone to take it and put it to the side, please. We're just going to be working with the forward motor mount ring and the mid motor mount ring.
Anne is saying that 5.25 is not centered. It doesn't need to be centered. It just needs to be in the right place so that it's above where the fins are going to go in, correct?
Sure.
So if you place it next to your airframe, it should be just above the fin slot.
If you line it up like I'm doing here, it should be just clearing the forward part of that fin slot And the aft end of the motor tube should be right even with the aft end of the airframe. Y'all got that? All right, thank you. Don't give me the it's off by 0.5 millimeter. It's close enough.
I think mine's off by 0.5 millimeter.
They're funny. They're a comedian.
Brenna, yours is looking good. Thank you for showing us.
If you're off that millimeter, then you measured your ruler wrong.
I loved what you did, Brenna, when you showed your motor mount tube next to the airframe so that we could see how that mid-centering ring, it was clearing the fin slot. Good job.
Perfect.
All right, folks, I am going to let you know that it is 7:52, so we are running just a tad bit behind. It's a little bit more challenging to make sure everybody's getting on target. So we're working to get you out of here, but we are just a little bit behind. Go ahead, Frank.
Okay, this next slide here, rough sand around the fin slots, airframe tube. If I don't know why he's got that down, but the fin slots into the airframe tube slots, sand should fit right inside the fin slots. So take your fin that you should have 4 of them, and they should fit inside your fin slots. And if they're difficult to put in, you can take your craft stick with some sandpaper on it and fit it right in there and just go up and down the fin slot. Some might be tough to get in there. Put your fin in there on a 45-degree angle and push it in. It will not break. You will not crush it. It should pop right in.
Mark, here's if you can turn your angle a little bit, it's really hard to see. Thank you.
Just like this.
Turn, Camille. Yep, there you go. Yep. Nope. You were doing the right thing. Turn it to 180. Turn 180. Nope. Other way. There you go.
Start your fin backwards like this at a 45-degree angle and slide it in. Should fit right in. It might pop in, might snap in. You won't break or tear or anything. Just push it in. There you go. Keep going. Keep going. There you go.
Brenna.
Yeah, don't be afraid. You won't break it.
Mari, it's still hard to see your area.
Camille, can you get that? Oh, you're doing good. Yep. Go ahead. If you're having a hard time getting it in, sand the fin slot.
Looks good, Amir.
Camille, that should go in.
Grace, yours looks like it's going in. You do want to make sure that the tang, which is that little cutout, is all the way in so that the fin is flush with the airframe.
Yep.
Good
Looks
job,
good,
Jennifer.
Lyric. Looks good, Abigail.
So let's kind of go over the parts of the fin too. This part you're trying to get inside the rocket is called the tang or the tab. The back end of the fin is a semi-span, and this nice little sharp little aerodynamic is called the leading edge. And of course, this little flat part here is called the tip root. And then the part that lays against the airframe, this part here is called the root.
Jennifer Morris, you're doing a great job.
Okay, once you have your fins fit in, you can pull them out, put your fins to the side.
Looks good, Anne.
I think Mark was going to go over epoxy.
Is this me for epoxy?
Yes, sir.
All right. So in your kit, you should have received a package of epoxy. It's 2 parts. There's a hardener and a resin. The resin is the black bottle and the hardener is the red bottle. So you'll go ahead and pull those out. And then to take the cap off, you'll need to cut the top open. And then there's also a safety cap on the inside that you also need to remove before you can use the epoxy. So if you haven't already done so, get your epoxy out, get your epoxy ready. We'll be epoxying here shortly, the next step.
And make sure you have your gloves on.
Yeah, I have my gloves on. Thanks, Connie. Thanks for watching out for me.
Yeah, always put your gloves on, and you can take a pliers or your little fingertips with your gloves on and pull that cap off, or take a screwdriver and pop the cap off. And when you pop it off, hold on to it, please. It's gonna, you know what's gonna happen. It's gonna fall on your shirt, your pants, or on the floor. And discard that cap. But
so when you mix, so after you've got the epoxy ready, and we won't be mixing it right now, I'm just going to explain the concept. You'll end up mixing the epoxy in a 1-to-1 ratio in one of your mixing cups. So here's your mixing cup. You'd have got these in your kit as well. And you're going to just pour a little bit of both bottles into the bottom of the epoxy cup, kind of relative to the amount that you need. If it's a small step, maybe you'll pour a little bit. If it's a big step, such as a fin, you might want to pour a little bit more into the cup. And then you'll mix your epoxy using one of the craft sticks, one of the wooden sticks, which also came with your kit. So make sure to mix the epoxy really well. Mix it for like a good 30 seconds or a minute. And then you'll be able to apply the epoxy as needed. So as shown in the pictures there's the craft stick applying the epoxy to the fins. And then there's also a diagram showing what the epoxy looks like, what we call a fillet. In the 90-degree angle, the yellow in the diagram is the epoxy. So it's a 90-degree and it's joining the 2 parts at a 90-degree angle. And that's what we call a fillet. So for your competition rockets, there's various types of epoxy. So do your research. These ones are kind of good for this phenolic material. Not all rocket, materials or rockets are built with this epoxy. So make sure to research the various types there are out there. There's some good fiberglass epoxy if you got a fiberglass kit or carbon fiber. It's based on time and strength. So for this workshop, we use a quick cure, a 5-minute epoxy. You can see it says 5M on the bottle. It's a 5-minute. So usually the quicker cure is not as strong as the longer cure. So if you have I think there's a 30-minute cure and a 1-hour cure. Those are a lot stronger, but again, the cure time takes a long time to set up. So, but for your competition rocket, you want the strong epoxy. So make sure to use the longer cure epoxies. We also use JB Weld. I don't know, Frank, do you have any JB Weld on hand?
Yes, I do.
Show if I have mine. Oh, I do have mine. Look at that.
JB Weld right here. Same thing, black and a resin and a hardener.
So you usually use the JB Weld for any time there's a metallic bond. So if you're bonding a motor retainer, for example, it's made of aluminum, you'll want to use the JB Weld in any sort of metallic bonding steps. What else we have? Epoxy fillets we talked about. So that's the yellow in the corner of the rocket. If I have a rocket here, I can show you. So these are the fin fillets here of an already made rocket. I think you can see that on the screen. Oh yeah, there's fillers as well. Is that the next one? Frank's showing a filler. And that kind of makes the epoxy more goopy, more sticky, like peanut butter, more tacky. So for your competition rockets, feel free to use a filler. For this workshop, just for the sake of time, we're not going to use fillers. There's a fin fillet there. from the epoxy. And you can see it's basically the same radius or curvature of the stick. So you bring the stick along one final pass and it makes a nice clean fillet on your rockets. And I think that's everything. Safety, of course, wear your gloves whenever we're doing epoxy step. That's the first thing. Remember to change out your gloves every now and then. They're going to get sticky. You're going to get epoxy on them. We give you a number of gloves in your kit. So change them out. Try not to get epoxy everywhere because you'll get them on your gloves and then you'll grab your computer or you'll grab something and then you'll transfer the epoxy to that. So make sure to swap out your gloves. Work quickly with small amounts. So once you mix the pot, you only have about maybe 5 minutes before the epoxy is going to cure in the cup. So if you've been working any longer than 5 minutes, or it starts to approach 5 minutes, just kind of throw out the cup and start a new one.
I'm going to stop you, Camille. We're not epoxying yet. We shouldn't be mixing the epoxy yet, folks. Please hold off because it will not be ready for when you actually need it. Go ahead, Mark.
Sorry. Yeah, good point. So I stated earlier, we're not mixing epoxy right now. I'm just explaining the demo step until we get to the next epoxy step. So you're prepared for it. So safety, wear your gloves. The pot only lasts about 4 or 5 minutes. So if you find you're starting to approach 5 minutes, throw out the pot and make a fresh one. And if you get any epoxy on your skin, we provide you with these little alcohol wipes. You can wipe up the epoxy when it's wet. If it's still wet, use the wipes. If you find the epoxy's dried and you've got it on your clothes, you've got it somewhere on a part and the epoxy's dried, you can stand that off later. And there's a link there. I don't think we'll go to the link. So yeah.
Connie, can you put the link in the chat for us? All right.
And if you have some rubbing alcohol, be my guest to use it. And if you do have rubbing alcohol of some sort and you have to clean your gloves off, use paper toweling and this, and you can clean your gloves off from the epoxy too with this stuff.
And I do want to note, I understand it is almost 5 minutes after 8. This next step is going to take about 10 to 15 minutes. And then hopefully we'll be able to finish up.
Okay, everybody have their gloves on? Gloves on. Everybody kind of look at their cart. They're going to be epoxying. Your forward after inch should be about 3/16, but what we're going to do is drop it down like this. And we're going to take our centering ring and drop it down below that line you made. Because when we're going to apply epoxy, we're going to apply epoxy below that line and we're going to push these rings up. And we're going to leave the motor mount tube this way because epoxy wins gravity. It's going to fall, drip, and go all over the place. So you got to keep your material upright so it doesn't drip down. Like Mark says, it takes a good 2.5 minutes for the epoxy to almost come to a sticky set. It doesn't cure in that time, but it comes to a sticky set, so it should stop dripping in 2.5 minutes. And like you say, in the pot, when you mix it, be quick when you're mixing your epoxy and apply it on the material. So I want you to do is slide your rings down below the line. Of course, put your gloves on, prepare the epoxy, 1-to-1 ratio. You don't need to mix like half the bottle or anything. You just need to put a small amount that you think you'll need to go around the tube of both motor mount rings. You're going to apply the epoxy on the motor mount tube, not on the ring, on the motor mount tube just below the line you made. Okay, you got your bottles open, place nozzle, apply epoxy to the motor tube on the lines drawn on the mid-centering ring. Let's start with the mid-centering ring. Let's get Mark highlighted here.
He should be.
Okay, Got him.
So if you haven't mixed your epoxy, go ahead and do so, 1-to-1 ratio.
Right. And don't do the dab thing. I see a lot of people do the dab with the epoxy. I want you to spread it on as liberal as you can, all the way around. And I want you to then push it up past that line, because that's going to be your 5 1/4 mark, correct? So it's the aft end of that motor mount ring that you want 5 1/4. You mark your line on there. Make sure that's 5 1/4 from the aft end of the motor tube. And once you've completed that, I want you to go to the top of the motor mount tube where the forward ring's going to go, and go just below that line also that you make, and put a liberal amount of epoxy all the way around the motor mount tube. Push your forward motor mount ring up, so you're approximately 3/16 of an inch from the end of the forward part of the motor mount tube.
Try to
This whole-
keep your motor mount tubes vertical versus horizontal.
Thank you, Chris.
I'm watching Grace. Yours looks like it's horizontal, so you want to make sure that's vertical.
Yeah, like I said, epoxy's gonna drip on you if you put it sideways. So let's do it right here and keep the epoxy dammed up by the motor mount rings. If it drips past the motor mount rings, no big deal. As long as it's not like leaking drastically through the motor mount rings, but it shouldn't. And as you push the epoxy up, it should almost create a nice fillet around the motor mount tube and the motor ring.
If
And
you're
you could
having a
use a
hard time,
twisting motion
Yeah, twist it. Sure, you can twist it.
of the ring. The twisting motion of the ring will make the epoxy a nice bead.
I'm watching a few of you. You're having a hard time getting your epoxy out of your bottle. So just make sure that your hole is big enough for the epoxy to come out of the tube.
I know. Did they cut a hole, I wonder?
I don't know. Do you?
Okay.
I can't remember.
Yep. Cut a hole. Did you take out the plug? Did you take out the plug
in
too?
there, yeah.
Plug inside, so you got to pull the cap, unscrew the cap, and pull the plug off. Okay.
Remember, we're not dabbing. Tevin, it's like butter. You're buttering a piece of toast.
That's right. Because you got to work quick, because that epoxy will get gummy on you.
Mr. James, you are doing a fine job.
And if you prefer, and you're getting really good at it, do both of them at the same time. Put epoxy around here, let it sit there. Put epoxy around there, and push all your rings up, just like that, and keep your motor mount tube vertical. And hold that for a good 2.5 minutes, and it should stick there, and you should be able to lay it on its side once the epoxy gets sticky. You'll know that your epoxy gets sticky is when I hope you put your stick back in the cup, not on your pants or on the black protective plastic, because it'll stick to that. So once you pull this out of here and it gets kind of sticky and you can't pull it out, you know that epoxy's sticking up. It's getting sticky, so you can put your motor mount tube sideways then. It shouldn't drip.
It's great to do the cup and the stick on a paper plate, one of the ones you gave us.
Yeah. We've gone through trial and error with that. Yeah, Mark's all set.
Jennifer F., look at that. You are just showing us the pride of your motor mount tube. Good job.
Frank, you want to dab the threads?
And how you doing there? You gotta push that up a little higher. Oh, you're applying epoxy. Okay, got it. Abigail, how you doing?
Grace, is yours 5 1/4 inches up from the bottom?
Yep, make sure you got that 5 1/4 mark. You got it on the aft end of the motor mount ring.
Okay, you haven't slid it yet.
Remember, this is your forward part and this is your aft part. And here's my 5 1/4. See 5 1/4?
Amir, I haven't seen yours in a bit. See the top, see the middle. Okay, you're just putting on your epoxy now.
Is that 5 1/4 backwards on your screen? No? Okay, because it's backwards where I'm looking at it.
Okay, Brenna,
Perfect.
I'm concerned you're only using one of your solutions at a time versus both at the same time. Best practice is to take both tubes, squeeze them at the same time, getting the same amount.
Yeah, I just can't smell this. I can't stand the smell of the hardener, so I do them one at a time, but I make sure that I do them on separate sides of the cups. That way I get the same amount.
Because sometimes when you do it one at a time, you put one down and you go do something, you go, what did I put in? Did I put in the hardener or the resin?
I see Colin shaking his head. He's in agreement with that one.
If you're not
Do
sure.
we do the same for the middle ring?
Pardon me?
Do we put the epoxy on the middle ring as well?
Yes, put epoxy on the motor mount tube for the mid ring. Make sure it's 5 1/4 inches the aft end when you slide it
Okay,
up.
so we put epoxy on the forward ring and the middle ring, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yours is looking good, Grant. Tevin, I see your bottom one, but I do not see your top one. Is your bottom one level? It looks like it's angling and it might be sliding down. Not that one, the lower one, the mid centering ring. Make sure that that's not tipping a little bit, that it's staying straight.
It's got to be perpendicular with the tube. Don't put it in like crooked like this.
That'll
Make sure,
present some problems later.
right? Make sure when you drew your line, it was straight. Hopefully, it should be straight. That's why I kind of referred to making 2 reference marks on the 5 1/4 on your motor mount tube.
I like that. Yeah.
I like that too.
It's the all powerful Oz.
Yeah. Amir, how you doing? Great. Make sure everybody that you have 5 1/4 from the aft end of the motor mount tube to your mid motor mount tube. Actually, once you have it all set up, your aft centering ring should be right at the top of your fin slot, and the end of the tube should be pretty close to the aft end of the airframe.
Frank, I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide.
Yes, please do. Oh, that's a little too soon.
It's a little too late. This is the step we just did.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
What I want to do though,
Yes.
I
Oh,
really
you know
like to
what?
put some, I really like to put epoxy on these T-nuts so they set up good for tomorrow.
Wait a minute, Frank.
Yeah.
Okay, we did this, did this, we did this one. I do not believe you did this step. Beginning it,
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where I want to do all this.
perfect.
Yeah. Okay, what we're gonna do next, after you've have all your motor mount rings all set and nothing's dripping, and your epoxy is pretty stiff. What I want you to do is mix some more epoxy.
Wait, Frank, let me see yours again. I think I just messed up.
Who's that?
It's Abby. I'm really stressing out. Oh, I did something wrong.
What'd you do?
So this is what mine looks like.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah.
Mine's a shorter tube. Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what confused me a little bit earlier too.
Okay, so
Sorry. As long as this mid tube is 5 1/4 from
Yeah.
here to aft end, you're good. You're
yes,
perfect.
so
Golden.
this one, we haven't put this one on yet, correct?
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
That
so-
stays off. The aft end motor mount ring. Put that in front of you right now, anyways, because we're gonna be.
Okay, so this
doing-
is correct.
Yes.
It is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, mine's a little bit shorter too. Mine's an example. Sorry.
Okay.
You got good eyeballs there. You could tell. Okay, we're gonna do. We snugged up all the nuts on the threads of the bulk plate. We snugged up all the nuts and eye bolt on the forward eye bolt. So what we're going to do, we're going to apply a small amount of epoxy to the thread and the nut, just so it does not turn on the threads. Kind of acts like a thread lock, only we're using epoxy. So we're going to put a small amount of epoxy on the threads and the nut of the forward motor mount ring with the eye bolt. And we're going to apply epoxy to the bulk plate thread with the
Are you
washer.
gonna do that
nut.
now, Frank? Or I
Yes,
think you
yeah.
have that listed later on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And plus, we are going to apply some epoxy to the T-nuts. I don't know if you can see, I have epoxy applied to the T-nut on the edges between the flange and the wood. Do not get any epoxy in the threads.
Yeah, you
If
had
you
this
want-
at another step too, just so you know.
I just want this done now because we always forget and it's always tomorrow and it's not set up. As long as we have epoxy out, let's spread it.
Careful not to get any epoxy in the inner ring or the outer of the ring.
Right. Yeah, if you're going to apply epoxy to only the flange without getting it in the threads or getting it on the inside of the ring or on the outside of the ring, you'll be sanding a lot. If you do, take your alcohol wipe and wipe it before it sets up.
On the bolts,
Yes.
are we like loosening the nut a little bit, putting
Nope.
some on there, and tightening the nut
Nope,
back up?
nope. Just keep the nut tight and just smear some epoxy between the nut and the threads. Just like what Mark's doing. Do it on the bulk plate nut and the forward ring nut. Mix enough epoxy. What's the next slide, Christine?
Friday night break.
Oh. If you got enough epoxy left over I would suggest on applying a fillet of epoxy on the back side of the forward ring. Because you know how it looks in the front of the forward ring with the epoxy on it? I want you to make it look like it on the back of that motor mount ring. Do not, I repeat, do not apply epoxy on the inside of the mid motor mount ring, because when you go and put your fins in, it's going to block it. So you don't want any epoxy in between this corner of the fin tang and the motor mount ring. So do not apply any epoxy to the inside of that. Epoxy will be applied to that at a later step. But please do so, put a fillet of epoxy on the back side of that forward motor mount ring and the motor mount tube. Don't forget to put epoxy on that thread. Put epoxy on this thread and nut. And smear some epoxy on this flange of the T-nut. Do not get any epoxy on the threads. You can put a little dot of tape on there if you want, but you have to share some of that metal with the epoxy to the wood. So you have like a bridge bond between the flange and the wood. Both of them, please. Seth, how you doing? Thank you. Brett, I meant to tell you, Ellie, did she get her fins in? I forgot to, she got her fins to fit. Don't run.
Eli, yeah, he did get it. He did get the
Okay.
pins in, and he's gluing his motor mounts now.
All right.
His forward and mid.
Okay. McLean, how you doing? All right.
Colin, that your mid centering ring looks very crooked. Please double check that to make sure that it's perpendicular to the table.
Show me that ring, Colin. Show it up to the camera, please. Turn it, cock it towards me a little bit. Yep. On an angle. There you go. That looks pretty good. Thank you. If you want to check the straightness, do your 5 1/4 plus or whatever. Grace, how you doing? All right, you look like you're studying pretty good there.
I don't know, Camille looks like she's dabbing. I know that's old school, but.
Finger painting? Yeah.
Okay.
Annie, how you doing? Thank you. Abigail? You look
I'm
positive.
good. I think I got everything.
Okay, cool. Jennifer Morris. Pretty good. Thank you. And don't forget, when you smear your epoxy on, gravity wins on that epoxy, so be careful.
And Frank?
Yes.
Brett, so let's see. Let me mute. We got 2 cameras going on. It's challenging me.
Okay.
Okay. Whoa, sorry.
Okay, I see ya. I don't hear you now.
Okay, you hear me now?
Yep.
So I put this on the wrong side. So here's my app. end of the tube and I slid it down to this. So I've got epoxy dripping and I've got a bit of a fillet on here. So I'm trying to shave that off, so the fins will.
Okay, but you do have it at 5 1/4, right?
Yes.
Okay, just leave it set up, because what we can do, we can kind of cut off the corner there, no biggie, on the tank.
These are the fins are gonna go, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. There's a fix for it. I just wanted to make it easier for you guys. So no problem.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, well, while you guys are finishing up, I am going to just go over a few things for tomorrow. We will start at 10 a.m. exactly. As you can see, it's going to take us a little bit longer to get through some steps just because we have so many of you and we're trying to make sure that everybody is doing everything the way we're supposed to. So what we'll do is we'll probably open up a few minutes early so everybody can be in place, ready to go. So at 10 a.m. and make sure that you have your handbook with you. You have all of your supplies ready to go. You have drinks, you have your snacks if you need it. Have all that ready to go so that we can get through everything as expeditiously as we can to get everybody out on time at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. And so we don't have to eat into lunch or break times. We will stay a little bit after tonight just to give you an opportunity. If you didn't finish something or you have a question, we can answer that for you. When we start, we will start off with a morning review, asking questions about what you've learned today. And then we'll get to getting right away. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I think you guys did. I think you guys did really great, though. I mean, for how many people we have here, and we only had a few little minor things, you guys did real good, I thought.
Yep. And the same thing will go for tomorrow. That please, if you questions or you're just like maybe not understanding, we want to be able to get you into those breakout rooms so that you can work with Bob, or tomorrow it'll be Jane and Jen. So we've got folks that you can work with one-on-one if you're falling behind, because we don't want you to fall very far behind and miss anything.
And when we start tomorrow morning, I do not want to see a rocket completed. Do not work ahead.
Correct.
Hey, Christine, is it the same Zoom link for tomorrow's meeting?
It is the same Zoom link for tomorrow. Are you going to be able to join us, Sean?
Someone had it in chat, so I was just voicing theirs.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
It'll be the same link tomorrow. And again, when you go to come on, it really helps us when you put your full name on, so that we'll have new people on tomorrow. They will not have today to know that certain, your name is this or that. So please come back and have your full name and your school would be helpful as well. Any other questions?
Christine, I got to be here at 8:30. You're gonna have to turn the Zoom on for me.
Okay. I will do so.
Okay. You got that, Brett? Are we still on for tomorrow morning? Brett?
Yeah, we sure are. And Christine, you could just make him a co-host right now. If it's the same link, I'm assuming it is.
He is a co-host.
Oh, well, then he should be able to sign up. But
I will make sure that he gets on.
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bob, you in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's the last the app. Need put too much on there.
Do not eat those. Do not eat those.
I
told you do not.
Slide them.
So good, boy.
There you go.
Jennifer Morris, I am just so happy you're here. I can't tell you how happy I am you're here.
And just wiggle it up. Yeah.
Now I can't plead ignorance with my team anymore.
Yes. Yeah.
Jennifer looks happy too.
Frank, I do have a question.
Yes.
So when I put the middle ring on, it slid a little bit. So I am
Make sure
more
it's even.
like 5, I'm closer to 5.5 rather than 5.25. Do you want me to do something about that before tomorrow? You want me to cut a quarter at the end? So it's more laying on top of the fins?
If it's on there already, no big deal. We'll
I'm just gonna do this.
if
Better
it's
longer.
what you can do,
I just don't want to. You just don't want to get it.
you can cut the tube if you can cut it straight.
Okay, so just cut a quarter of an inch off the end of the tube, so I'm a
Yep.
quarter,
Yep.
5.25. Okay,
Yep.
got it.
Yep.
I'm on it.
We won't tell anybody.
All right. Nice to see you, Steve. I'm wondering where your rocket is.
Jennifer, 3 or 4 years ago, my rocket is sitting in the corner of my rec room with 3 fins. It had 4 when it started.
We'll see when you join us tomorrow. You can put that other fin on.
Good thing.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
All right, Jennifer,
welcome.
thanks.
Steve, you did the Launch to Learn at Student Launch with Student Launch, am I correct?
Yes, I did, down in Huntsville.
Yep.
Not nearly as this, though.
I was just in Huntsville.
Happened in town.
You were
It
in
is.
was
Cool
it
town.
for work? Trent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Redstone. It was my first time
Oh.
there. It was pretty cool.
It's a pretty cool place.
Are you gonna buy it at Saturn 1B, Trent?
I did. Yeah, I took some really good pictures of it.
It's up for sale. You know, they want to get rid of it.
Oh, I saw a news article about there's a Saturn 1B that's like a roadside attraction.
Right.
You know what,
Yeah.
guys? I'm gonna say this, that if we're done with our official, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop the recording.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
We're recording.
Yeah, Frank.